Hi everyone, today we're going to be seeing just how easy it is to get started using RadGridView for Silverlight, part of the Telerik RadControls for Silverlight Control Suite. To start with, we're going to use the Telerik Visual Studio extensions to start a new Telerik project. We do this by going up to the Telerik menu, going to RadControls for Silverlight, and create new Telerik project. Here we want to create a RadControls Silverlight application. We'll keep the name just for demo sakes. Now this should all be familiar to you for starting a new Silverlight application, but the next menu might be something new. Here we're going to see the Visual Studio Extensions project settings where we can choose what items we want to utilize in our project. Today we're using RadGridView, so we'll click here and you'll notice all the other dependencies, which is Telerik Windows Controls, Telerik Windows Controls Input, and Telerik Windows Data are included. We click Finish and the project is started up for us. Now that our project is all loaded, we can go into References just to check and make sure that all those assemblies that we chose in the Visual Studio Extensions window have been selected. They're all in here, so we're good to go with RadGridView. Next, we're going to go into our toolbox, take advantage of the Visual Studio Designer in Visual Studio 2010 to drag and drop RadGridView onto the view. It gets loaded, and we can see in our XAML code it's been set here, but we don't want RadGridView right there, so we're just going to reset layout. Now you can see RadGridView taking up most of the window. We'll zoom out a little so you can see more of it, but more excitement comes from when we actually run it. Once our application loads, you can see that RadGridView is here in the browser. But that's not too exciting, so let's go ahead and add some data to it. Back in Visual Studio, we're going to go and look at the code for this example. Now that we're into the code view, I want to add a little bit of code I had written up previously so you can see how RadGridView works in action. First, we just want to make sure we have the right using here, then I'll explain the code. We can see I wrote up demo class, which has an integer, 2 strings, a boolean, and a datetime value, and I'm just populating that with some sample dummy data. We have 2,000 items that gets bound to RadGridView through the item source, and now we'll run this and see how it looks live. Once RadGridView is running, we can see that all the items have populated the grid, but they're not taking up all the space that we have available. I'll show you a quick optimization you can do in the XAML view to take care of that. Back here, we want to add one property to RadGrid, and that would be to set the column width to star. This means the columns will be equally placed and take up equal distance when it's displayed at runtime. Now that looks a little better. We can see all the data, and as we scroll, we can see how we move seamlessly through 2,000 items that are displayed in the grid. Pretty cool stuff. But now, since we actually have some data in here, we can play around with some of the different functionality that comes out of the box of RadGridView. First off, I want to sort. Here, I want to sort by the isComplete column, so you can see how quickly we've sorted between the not checked and the checked properties, of which there aren't that many. We can also do multiple value sorting. So now I have isComplete, I hold check and click on company, and now we're also sorted by company as well. Pretty neat stuff. Now that we're done with the sorting, let's also check out filtering. We have the built-in Excel-like filtering. So for example, if we're sorting by the name column, we want to say, instead of is equal to, contains, we'll say the number 4. Click on filter, and as you scroll down, you can see all the values with the number 4 are included, and everything else has been excluded. Clearing the filter is just as easy as clicking clear filter, and everything goes back to normal. Also, grouping is made very easy with RadGridView, so you can see it right here. We'll do it by isComplete again because we know that has some separate values. Grouping by isComplete, and it immediately goes to the Boolean values. We have our true options and our false options. Neat thing is that you can also group by other values very easily. Drag this header over to the grouping column, and you can see we've now grouped by both the isComplete and the due date. Removing grouping is just as easy as it was to add it. Just click the X and it gets removed, and we don't have to worry about it whatsoever. Also, a nice little visual addition is the ability to reorder columns at will. Here we can see as we move the columns back and forth, they get reordered, and it still works with all the same sorting, grouping, and filtering that we've used before. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the features and rich functionality we provide out of the box of RadGridView, and you can start using it in your Silverlight applications today.